I'd like to go ahead and welcome everybody to the January 24th, 2024 Town Hall meeting. Sitting down, actually doing this one for the first time from Naples, Florida. So we're gonna ahead and go from there. I'll come back here in a minute to talk about some things that have gone on in the market and one of the questions that was brought to me by one of our clients. But I'm going to go ahead and start this first part of the presentation off and allow Mel to take the table at this time.
All right, good afternoon, or whatever time you happen to be viewing this. We appreciate you guys being here. And also for those that are here and that might be watching it a little bit later. First thing I want to start out with is to let you know that we do have a client event coming up very shortly. And it's another cooking class, and those are a fantastic lot of fun. And we have a go to the head of the line thing going on for this particular one for folks that haven't or have been there before with us for that particular event. If you bring someone like yourself who you would like to introduce to Steve and myself at a very fun, no pressure, we're not even doing a presentation, it's just everybody having a good time. But it's a way to introduce them to us to let them decide whether they might want to talk to us again in the future. If you have someone that you would like to bring along to that particular class, you get to go to the head of the line to get a spot in that particular event. And they're very, very limited. We might be doing more of these in the future so we can give everybody a chance to attend. But I just wanted to let you know to be looking for that because that's coming up in February. What I'm going to be talking about today is a little bit off the general subjects. Steve and I and the group here, we spend a lot of time talking about normal type retirement things, income, legacy, taxes, healthcare, long-term care, and how to put a plan of action together to handle all of those issues. And then it also, what's your best financial tools, whether it's insurance or investment products. So that's our normal forte. But I wanted to take this time to let you know that we go a step beyond that if you happen to know some people that are in particular situations. One of the things that we're doing more in 2024 is helping people out who have a highly appreciated real estate or rental properties or businesses that they are considering selling out. When it comes to closing out a business, real estate, or any of those types of situations, there could be pretty substantial gains that have occurred over time. You may have put a certain amount of money in, and now it's worth 100 times or 1,000 times what you put in. The problem with that is when you go to sell it, there can be some pretty tremendous tax ramifications for that. Very high capital gains taxes and other things. And what happens is you ask a price for it, and you pay maybe the attorneys and the accountants and if there's a broker involved in the sale of those assets, then you end up paying 20, 30, 40% of it to the government. It can be pretty substantial downturns in the values that you walk away with. So one of the things that we've done is aligned ourselves with a firm and a company called EPT that specializes in ways to help you maximize your returns. And I'd be more than happy to explain how it works. I'm not going to spend the time today on the Zoom call, quite honestly, because it would just take too many disclaimers and literature and things of that nature. I'm more than happy to explain it in person. But we're working on a case right now, and it's pretty substantial. A client put $250,000 into his business, and several years later is about to sell it for $7 million. Now, it's a pretty substantial gain. It doesn't have to be that big, but in this particular case, if the client had went through the normal sale process and they have a buyer ready to go, it's already been negotiated, and they were going to lose between $1.5 and $2 million to taxes. Now, that still leaves them a nice big chunk of money that they could then invest and live off of. But we provided them an avenue that would allow them to make that sale and keep the full value of that particular sale in a form of trust that allows them to take income from the full $7 million and still keep control and even pass it on to their heirs. So essentially, instead of having the $5 million that they can then invest and draw income, they get to keep draw income from the whole $7 million. Now, this could work for a lot of things. I talked to another gentleman the other day that he and his two siblings own substantial amounts of property in Florida. They're over on the other side in Fort Lauderdale, and they're considering maybe getting out of the rental business and out of the landowning business and cashing in. The problem has always been absolutely tremendous amounts of tax that would go into it. So they walk away with 30 to 40% less than the sale value of the property. So getting away from the rental business, that's a great business. But if you want to pass it on to your kids, you can do 1031 exchanges and have some great advantage of that. You can do Delaware statutory trust, which is another way to get out of the rental business, yet not have to pay the taxes immediately and still have step up in basis and all kinds of pluses. This is a little different. We can do this with rental property also. Kind of depends on what you're trying to do. The problem with the 1031 exchange is that you end up with more property that still has to be managed and taken care of. Whereas with the particular aspect that I'm talking about, it's a walk away. We're done with the running the business anymore. We just get to run the money and take care of it for that time, whatever time we want, including passing it on to our heirs. So what I wanted to go through all that for is this. If you know someone or talk to someone who is thinking about selling off some or all of their rental business to be out of the landlord business entirely, or they're selling a business that has a substantial appreciation, or they might be subject to recapture of depreciation. There's two ways you can end up paying taxes for that type of business. Or if so it's land, they want to sell a big piece of land, they want to sell a rental business, or they have their personal business. There is also even a way, if you have a very highly appreciated stock portfolio, there may be some tax advantages that you can use for that type of structure too. But the one that we're talking about the most right now is business, land, rentals, things of that nature that you're wanting to be out of that business. This is an escape clause that can be very, very, very advantageous to you. So I just wanted to take a little time today and talk about beyond all the normal things that we do, whether it's legacy planning or all the other things. If you happen to know someone who's in that position and they are talking about, oh my God, look at all the taxes I got to pay, they really need to be introduced to us and let us explain how this works, and just run us an analysis to see if what the advantages to them might be. There's absolutely no cost or obligation on their part to take a look at it and see if it might fit their particular needs and desires. So I had a very short one today. That was the thing I wanted to really talk about, and hope that I hope you guys know some folks that are in that position, and you can offer them a helping hand by introducing them to us.
All right, thank you very much, Mel. First, let's kind of start out. The market's been kind of wishy-washy, up a little bit, down a little bit. So the year is a typical normal market. The thing that I would like to bring in about the market, that about 98% or 89%, excuse me, about 89% of the gain in the S&P 500 has been from that magnificent seven. So we're still looking for a wider and a broader market uptick than we're currently at. I wanted to go ahead and do something a little bit different. I had a question this week, and it came from a client. They were going, they'd heard that the U.S. Supreme Court was hearing a case that was going to affect the taxation of possibly or a wealth tax or expanding that within the United States of America. And so I kind of went through it with them. So I kind of want to go through it with you, what had basically happened. The Supreme Court came to a meeting, and it was basically everybody's saying it was about the wealth tax. But that's not what was issued in front of the Supreme Court. What was in front of the Supreme Court was whether they were going to uphold the foreign income tax that was levied during the Trump tax cuts, because they felt that the people, the Moors, had sued the United States of America, stating that by paying that repatriation tax, that they were basically getting taxed on income that they had not realized. The Supreme Court ended up staying with it to basically say it would change too many things within the tax code if they made the decision to say they can't do that at all. So the question that a lot of people have is, does this give Congress the green light to start taxing, wealth taxes and things of that nature? Currently, to this point, there has been nothing put in front of Congress. to actually start doing that. So some of the fear might be jumping in a little quick there. And I know that we talk about different types of risk all the time. We talk about market risk, what can happen. Nobody wants another 2000 or a 2008. We talk about the sequence of returns. What if early in my retirement, the markets drop very heavily? That can cause problems with a retirement portfolio. That's why we look at it and say, let's protect a part of the portfolio so that it cannot go down due to market volatility. What's raised its head over the last 2 to 3 years? Inflation. 5 years ago, we weren't talking about anything like that. But now, what are we talking about here with the prospects of a wealth tax and Congress changing tax rates? We're talking about legislative risk, and I think that's one of the greatest risks that most of us will be experiencing. In this case here, what is the fear? Okay, right now, if I hold a stock, I don't get taxed on that stock until I actually sell. What if we did it on unrealized gains? What if they did the same thing on houses? What if they did the same thing all the way across the board? One of the reasons why we don't believe it can be as much simpler on that level is the fact that it's so hard to evaluate the valuation of an estate. You know, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to evaluate an estate when they get to estate tax issues. What if we had to do that every year? So we don't think that one's probably the biggest concern that we have, but we do have a lot of other legislative risk that we're currently looking at. You know, what was the big one that just came through? The Secure Act, what I like to call a lot of times the Insecure Act. What did it change? Well, one of the things it changed was required minimum distributions from age 70 and a half to, then it went to 72. Then with Secure 2.0, it's almost all the way up to 75. And a lot of people say, Steve, well, why does that cause a problem? And I said, there are such a small percentage of people that ever had to take a required minimum distribution. Most people take more money out of their IRA. They're not taking a minimum distribution. They're taking more than that, which is a-okay. You can take as much as you want. So there was a small group of people that was affecting. Well, what was the cost of doing that? Remember what they used to call the stretch IRA, where if we gave an IRA asset that wasn't to our spouse, it was a non-spousal heir, they could then take that asset and stretch it over their lifetime, our children, our grandchildren. Secure Act 2.0 said you can't do that anymore. That has to come out of the tax deferred, if it's a traditional IRA, state in a 10-year period. Required minimum distributions, depending on the age of the person when they passed away. Roth IRAs, no distribution till the end of that 10th year. But think about it, that we just took an asset that could go over years to say it has to go out in 10 years. And when do the heirs of most people pass away? Parents pass away, usually in their children's higher earning years. So we have to be real careful of that. So that's what I'm looking at, is what the legislative risk that we could subject ourselves to. I think that is the problem that we're going to have, probably as much or more than a lot of the other things that we're talking about within the within risk. And I think Mel started out with it. Let's go ahead with the thing that we're there. You know, the All Financial Group has grown exponentially because people have referred family and friends. So that our marketing staff got together and said, how do we make this easier for people? And as Mel just stated it, some of the simplest things you can do is come to events with a friend, you know, and we look at it. It's a cooking class. I love the cooking class. You know, I wish there was so much demand for that cooking class that we had to do one all the time, because I love going to it. The different things that we've made have been fantastic, and we get to taste them and eat them. And 95% of the time, there's usually some wine involved with it too. So, you know, you can come and have a very good time. But we do have an event February 22nd, 27th at Twisted Tree. Mel's going to be doing a presentation on annuities. the good, the bad, the truth. As I like to say, all of the things on that. Mel will do that presentation at the Twisted Tree. We have an open house on March the 1st with Jim Donovan. Jim Donovan has been my accountant since about 1983. I hate to say that it's been that long, but he's been with me. I've been with him since about 1983. That he's going to come in and we'll do a presentation in the office upstairs, the upstairs part of the office. Gives us a lot more room to sit down and enjoy an adult beverage, a little bit of food, ask questions, but have the tax person in. But that'll be in March 1st, well before that tax day. And if you can believe it right now, it's under 90 days until taxes are due. 90 days until taxes are due. And then March the 5th and the 7th at Cooper's Hawk in St. Peter's, Mel will again do annuities. And then on March the 13th, I will be doing a Social Security presentation here in the upstairs office. And the reason why I like that one, because almost everybody will be taking Social Security. So it's that question that we always get. When should we take it? What's the best time? Bringing somebody in to sit down and listen to a Social Security presentation, like I said, it's something that everybody needs. And we have felt that this was a very advantageous way for you all to be able to actually bring somebody in to come in and sit down and talk with us. So you can do it that way. As I like to say, we had a fantastic turnout for the new client appreciation event and referrals. We just had it last week. We had it at this time was at Bishop's Post. So we do those types of things to say thank you for being a part of our family. If you have questions that you would like to ask about something that's going on in the market, please don't hesitate to give us a call. I can talk about it in 2 weeks when we get to that presentation that's there. Or if it's something that Mel would prefer to talk about, but we love talking about the things that come from there, because that's what I got called for. Is this going to change the idea that you unrealized gains versus you have to sell something to get the gains? I don't think it did. It was part of the Trump tax cut that came back and the government said that was okay to do. So again, please give us a call if you have any questions. I want to thank everybody that's on here live with us. And I want to thank everybody that listens to it from your house later this evening or later next week. Please don't hesitate to send it to anybody that you want to. Thank you very much. Have a great day.